What's up, GBA D-League type people? It's your boy Burb, joined by Mio.
Hey, what's up guys? This is Mio, and I'm excited to bring you the weekly recap for week 2 with my good pal Burb.
And this week we were spoilt with games. There was so many close matches compared to last week. And that's really what the GBA is about. Each week the level of competition is going to get higher and higher as each coach tries to stake a claim for its playoff position. We start off heading to Texas, which was one of the most decisive, reverse blowovers that I've ever seen. The Texas Rangers, coached by Randy, Baltimore Orioles, coached by Choice CJ. And many analysts will be very disappointed going against CJ, except for Sork, who will be bragging about it for the next 3 weeks, and I will have to endure it. This game for me was two underestimated coaches that when they joined the D-League. Randy from season 3, who was a finalist, the newcomer being Choice CJ, both two extremely underrated coaches, and you could tell in this game that the scoreline really didn't reflect how well both coaches played. Early in the match by CJ, trying to pivot from his Suicune into his Raikou on the Mammoth would see Raikou go down very early. However, Diamantiten did come in and do a very nice job of breaking down or OHKOing the Uxie. Momentum based, as neither side really got up any real hazards to begin with. In fact, I don't even think anyone set up hazards this game. For a few crits, which everyone knows that sodium is the #1 element that represents Draft League players. However, this wouldn't stop the momentum of the Baltimore Orioles, who brought a number of primary breakers with Toxic to cripple Randy's team. The Jellicent was Toxic, Vincoon went to town, and that was set by CJ. His prep has really carried him through each week, which is very impressive. Last week I said the match of the week was between two former GBA champions, being both Leo and Danza. I think this could have been a match potentially between two future GBA champions. What did you think of the match, Mio?
Oh, I absolutely agree. This match was actually fantastic. Way closer than it looked at by the scoreline. But I think overall with CJ's aggressive plays and Randy's inability to quite be able to deal with that Vincoon set that CJ brought really nicely, I think that overall it was just a really close game that was just destroyed by a broken set, because we all know Vincoon's broken, right?
Vincoon is too broken indeed, please nerf. Next up, we had probably most interesting preppers in the league. They call themselves Cash, I'd call them HO, but who knows. We saw OP Jellicent, coach of the Toronto Leaf Storms, take on the Phoenix Midnights, coached by It's Turbo. Was very interesting. The initial exchange is Masquerain, best Weber in format, top 7 low tier picks, sets up the webs on the Landorus, before Landorus quickly settles that down. One game defining moment, and that was really all to it. OP Jellicent locks in with his Virizion into Leaf Blade, KO something, and then for whatever reason, Turbo decides Sap Sipper Azu, best Azu, comes in, belly drums up, play roughs, does a lot of damage, and starts breaking his team. OP Jellicent has a little bit of a fight back towards the end, but it's really just consolation, trying to set up his sub-Salic Berry Kyurem, special Kyurem, which was very interesting to see. Good to see some diverse prep from these two players.
So I think that Turbo had some ballsy stuff that worked out when it honestly probably shouldn't have. So he had the arrow that worked out, that play on with the home class play, that was actually pretty good, but it was still really ballsy. If he had a good Registeel set, the Sap Super Belly Drum Azu I respect, but that was really, really ballsy, having that Scarf Virizion coming in and doing that. However, Manaphy still has yet to show a water move this season, and that's really weird because it's been 2 weeks and it's been in both games, made multiple attacks. Also, I'd like to note that Clefable could have beaten Kyurem, but no, you have Tapu Bulu instead because I don't know. And then I think at the end Jellicent did play that when Conwell's Kyurem, but couldn't quite pull it back because of his, I don't know, reliance on having hacks to be able to win in that end. Jellicent was unfortunately able to lose a 6v5 game because Turbo decided to bring the Unmon Masquerade. So I just bring that Unmon Masquerade there. So I think it was a really interesting game that happened to work out in Turbo's favor due to his odd prep.
As Turbo critiqued Asta in the power rankings of sets that only work 1 in 5 weeks, maybe Turbo might have been watching too many Asta videos last season in the power rankings.
I agree.
Calgary Infernape's coached by Headweeb Aaron2420 versus the Goldoa Dragon coach of the New York Empoleons. I think it's like based off hockey, or no, it wasn't Frisbee, Ultimate Frisbee team. Interesting match that split a lot more analysts than it should, and there was good reason for it. We were treated to a spectacle. Who would have known that one of Turbo's sets wins Aaron the game? The Rain Dance Thunderous. Didn't even have to click Rain Dance. Just the presence of a Turbo set in Aaron's match helped him immensely this week. Real commentary, at least. There was sort of a lot of back and forth going on, where Aaron was trying to pick sacks to Victini, while really just was struggling to break down the Hydreigon. He does say in his commentary that the Hydreigon can't beat the Bishop. I disagree with that because of how bulky Aaron's Hydreigon was. Mega Kang proving to everyone why it is probably legal in the format, getting hacked and then getting the crit EQ to finish off the Excadrill. Aaron, you know, if he didn't get the crit on the Excadrill, what he would have done the next move? Would he click straight HP Water? Would he Z Rain Danced? Aaron played a very well deserved victory this week. However, you cannot take away from Goldoa. A 1-0 loss is game for 90% of that battle.
Alright, so I really liked how Aaron played the early game with the sub Hariyama with the Flame Orb, breaking down a lot of Goldoa's team. That was really important for the game, getting all that chip and getting the kill on the, what was it? He got the kill on something I don't remember. Melodic, yes. That was really important for Aaron because let the Hydreigon be able to do more stuff, so Melodic wasn't in there to just be able to wall it or Dragon Tail it out or Ice Beam it. And however, Randy was able to utilize Manted Victini very well that match and just pressure Aaron to hell. You know, it's not okay. It's not Randy. Goldoa was really able to break down Aaron a lot with that Manted Victini, and I think at the end, the presence of my good pal Burb set with that Rain Dance. I know it's Turbo's, but it's your set too. So I think that was really a good bring, even though it's interesting as well. Wait, did you say it was HP Water?
HP Water.
That's actually interesting in the matchup because that beats Drill and Victini. That is actually kind of okay. So I like this match. It was really, really close against two underrated coaches. I think both Aaron and Goldoa have a lot to prove in the GBA League, and this is a match that proves them both to be worthwhile competitors.
Definitely. Next up, we have former GBA champion. Next up, we have former GBA champion Crobat for the win. Next up, we have former GBA champion Crobat for the win, coach of your LA Nido King, sponsored by Papa John's apparently, up against the Calgary Flame Wheels, coached by your boy Deebs. This game was very interesting when I saw the matchup that Charizard X and Lando T were going to have a field day against Danza. However, Danza brought some very interesting sets and they worked out really nicely. The Silvally Water, while this game, and also the way in which he plays his... If I wrote notes. The way that he played the Silvally Water and Steelix was really nice. The use of Jolteon early on in the match to break down a lot of Deebs' team, especially the part where he clicked Shadow Ball twice and Deebs thinks that it's choice locked. Therefore, HP Ice from the Jolteon pretty much puts the Landorus into sort of death range. Which Ice Shard Weavile can very nicely clean up, proving that maybe round 2 with Weavile was going to be worth it in the end. What do you make of the game, Mio?
I think that Danza basically had the offensive pressure on that game the entire time. As soon as that Lando went down, I think Deebs kind of lost that game. Because in the matchup there, I think a Rock Polish Lando or a Lando that wasn't just used for setting up Stealth Rock would have been really important there. But the fact that Danza had the Tornadus and the Weavile and the Gallade and the Jolteon, all four of those, being able to beat up Deebs' team really badly, while having that one-man Steelix defensive line back there to beat the Nihilego, that was really important for Danza to keep around. And while Golisopod was able to do a bit of work with First Impression Liquidation, it was ultimately not enough because of its ability to take down Danza in the end. So I think Danza just had that game as soon as Lando was taken down and Zardex was neutralized by his proper switching around.
Definitely. Next up we have the Detroit Butterfrese, coached by Zazo. Find the upload button as of late. He's getting old, he's washed up, against another former washed up coach, being its regulated coach of the LA Clefable. This was definitely a very interesting match. There's lots of weird sets. The Z mirror move Coco, for example, and the belly drum Quilladin. Greg, none of his very situational prep paid off, but it was still a very close game. He did better than most coaches previous to him, and he did kill the Go-Goat. I'm sad to see as a Go-Goat fan at home. Zazo really just knows how to control momentum in games, and it's spooky to see the way he does it. The way he preserves essentially Garchomp towards the end game, lets the Sizzle go for the bullet punch into it, and then go for the SD sub, and to essentially finish off the Gliscor. Zazo looked to take this game pretty comfortably. However, I don't know how much of that was Greg's prep allowing Zazo to do so, or whether or not Zazo is just a god and he's going to go undefeated this season.
Yeah, I agree, except I think his stroking Zazo a bit hard. I think Greg played that as well as he could with what he brought, even though his brings were a bit questionable, like the Quilladin. I expect a good Quilladin, but that's not a good Quilladin. I think he was just too ambitious with all that setup in that game, especially with the... He set up the Quilladin way too early with that Zapdos still in play when it wasn't going to be able to beat it really well. And however, that Zazo was able to take care of his defensive line really well, keep that Blissey healthy, keep that Garchomp healthy until the end, where Garchomp was ultimately able to win with a sub SD set. But I think Greg had the early momentum, but he lost it just by trying to set up too early, get his game on too early. So I think that's something he could work on in the future.
Next up, we have another very anticipated match. The newcomer Melon, coach of your Executive City, took a well-deserved victory week 1 over Gregulator, and many fans at home were wondering, could they do the same this week up against the Durham Dardigans? I, for one, I knew that. Complaining in my DMs that he's underrated, I thought Leo could do it this week. Leo this week, but I think it's going to be a one-off, really. Played very well this game. However, I think some people at home will be getting rid of rush of blood to the head thinking Leo's going to go win it all again. But I don't think so. I think that with this game, we should have banned Magina. Ban it now. Ban that Magina. Magina was really good in this matchup. Field Bell was definitely an interesting bring on the Magina. It allowed the Milk Tank to essentially get back up to full by getting rid of the Toxic. Melon brought a very interesting Zygarde set, being the trapping Zygarde. I sort of understand it to an extent, however, the way in which he sort of traps the Milk Tank and then switches out. Poor hindsight in sort of prepping. The synergy between Magina and Zoroark was really good. The way in which that both of haven't been able to get up hazards early on doesn't means that Zoroark is essentially has the element of surprise, and Zoroark is like easily maybe top 7 dark types in format, and Leo's using it really well. Nothing wants to take the base 120 dark moves that it's currently packing. The HP Rock as well also got rid of that annoying Charizard Y. The key turn in this battle was when Melon tries to go out into his Mew The key turn in this battle was when Melon tries to double out into his Mew, and Leo doubles out into his Zoroark and clicks the taunt as the Mew tries to defog. and it really just limits the opposing Charizard Y. Charizard Y is an amazing Pokemon, however, it really struggled this week to get safe switches in like it did against Greg. I think that's where Melon really struggled, and I think that Melon just struggled to find a groove in this game, and Zoroark and Magearna take home 3 kills each. Yep,
definitely. I think that Magearna and Zoroark were seriously impressive this game with how much they do between each other. Just like last game versus Dancer, I think Leo has been utilizing those two specifically very well this game, and at the end he was able to just do some really good stuff with Zygarde 10 and also Magearna and Zoroark, of course. I think the early game, being able to keep the Miltank healthy and the Magearna healthy all game was just really good for Leo to keep this momentum, and I agree with you that Melon was just not able to find his groove in this game, because whenever he had a spark of something, Leo was able to just take it back with his Magearna or Zoroark. And this is why Magearna is broken. Even if there's no Z-move rule, it's still a broken mon.
Most definitely. And now, as one last thing before we go into our standings and our MVP race, a massive shout out to Frieselander who redid the weekly recap graphics for us. They look nice and fresh. Hopefully the GBA type people can tell which side has which Pokemon. We may be still working on a few template changes, but apart from that, let's get right into the MVP race and the standings. Mio, take us away.
Alright, so the MVP rankings are, we have Magearna in first with 5 kills, 0 deaths. Then we have Klefki with 4 and 1. Then there's T and Zygarde 50 as well. Then we have Azu and Mazumuril, Megalopony, and Zoroark, both with 4 kills and 2 deaths. Then we have Suicune at 3 and 0, and then Garchomp and Hariyama at 3 and 1. The standings for week 2, we have CJ at 2 and 0 plus 7, Zazo at 2 and 0 plus 6, Leo at 2 and 0 plus 5. Then we have Danza at 1 and 1 plus 2, Danza at 1 and 1 plus 1, Randy, Turbo, and Melon at 1 and 1 plus 0, Deebs at 1 and 1 minus 1, Aaron at 1 and 1 minus 2, Dragon at 0 and 2 minus 4, and then Jellicent and Greg at 0 and 2 minus 6.
And if you have enjoyed, make sure to leave a like in the description below and get ready for next week, because next week we have probably arguably one of the most hyped games of this season. We'll take on the Detroit Butterfrese, in which will probably be one of the most hyped games this season. Actually, let me read that. This week, when we get the pleasure of going through our 2 favorite coaches in the GBA, mine being Zazo, coach of the Detroit Butterfrese, Mio's favorite coach is Leo, coach of the Durham Drodigons, as they go against one another. Personally, I think Leo's got this. I think Zazo's got this easily. The fact that Leo did not draft a Talonflame check, it's just going to be a snacker, I reckon, for Zazo. You'll probably make it look easier than it needs to be. What do you think, Mio?
Well, I think you're wrong that Leo's my favorite coach, but for the sake of this, I'll let you have that, because I love Aaron too much. I think you forgot about that, didn't you? So,
but Aaron's both our favorite coaches.
Right, gotcha. So I think that some interesting matches next week will be all of them actually, but especially my good pal Zazo versus Leo, like you said. That's gonna be a great match to watch. You keep that in mind when you watch next week.
Next time, peace.
See ya.